If you've been networking a lot, as I have been encouraging you to do, one of the things you might encounter is some overly helpful information from people who are really just trying to help you on your job search. This is a lovely thing, but it's also obviously very potentially awkward. So if you've been encountering this, I've got some tips for you. One of the ways people can be a little bit too helpful for us is by connecting us with jobs that we don't feel qualified for or interested in. This is probably the most awkward of these situations. And what I recommend is that you really figure out how you're going to address this with your person. This is hard to do. I'm saying it like it's easy. I know it's not. But what I recommend is a nice kind of basic approach. So jot down what you want to say and then practice saying it. And I recommend something like, "Hey there, Sue. Thank you so much for all of this help you've been giving me. I'm really grateful for these resources you've connected me with. I think maybe some of these positions are maybe a little bit too high level for me. I'm really appreciative of what you do. I wonder if we could maybe dial it back a tiny bit. I don't have 5 years of experience in this field, whatever you want to say. I'm really enthusiastic about getting into it, but I feel like these are maybe a little bit too much." Again, you're going to want to kind of walk through what you want to say because it's going to be different than that. But you also want to make sure you cover those points and that you really direct your overly helpful person to something that's a better fit for you. Again, practice it, jot down some things, make it really yours, but do pay a lot of attention to being very, very thankful. You don't want the person to feel bad for it because you want them to continue giving you references and leads. You just want to steer them a little bit in a different direction. You can also couch it in terms like, "I think I gave you the wrong impression. I actually don't want to do laboratory research, but I enjoy working with scientists." So you can also kind of put the blame a little bit on yourself, which again is going to help keep that person from feeling kind of weird and bad about it, and just kind of refocus the attention on where you really want to be finding positions like this. Now, sometimes people will send you in a direction that's just sort of odd and you can't quite figure out how they got there. You've been having a conversation about your interest in office management and someone sends you a dental hygienist position or something like that. And then all you really want to do is just to see if you can figure out why. And that can be a conversation. Depends, of course, on sort of how well you know the person, but I would go for something along the lines of, "Thank you so much for this lead. I'm curious what it was about this that made you think of me." And just kind of see what they have to say, because in that case, chances are pretty good that your connection just didn't read the posting very carefully, kind of glanced at it and thought, "I know someone who's looking for a job," and sent it your way. These are really difficult and awkward conversations, and I really appreciate that. But just kind of hash out some language for yourself that feels really good. I'm a big fan of written notes. I find them really, really helpful when I'm going through a situation like this, kind of steer me the right way. And this can be something that you say to the person on a phone call or a Zoom call, or it can just be something you put into an email. Be gentler if you put it in an email because, of course, you don't get tone in that way. And so you just want to make sure that you are really very thoroughly expressing your gratitude and your appreciation for what that person's done for you, and then very gently steering them to something that's of a better fit for you. Practice it, go over it. You might have some friends kind of review this with you, so you're really feeling confident about what you say. It's a really awkward situation, and it genuinely comes out of people wanting to help. So do make sure that you are really acknowledging that you have these conversations. All right, y'all, have a great long weekend if you are taking one. And I hope you have a few questions that you want to drop me here. I'm glad to answer them, and I will see you next week.